नमस्कार, गुड इवनिंग, सत श्री अकाल। आप में से कितने लोगों के दिमाग में ये कंफ्यूजन है कि आपको घर खरीदना चाहिए या फिर रेंट पे रहना चाहिए? ये टाइम चला गया जब हमारे मम्मी पापा जब शादी कर देते थे उसके बाद बोलते थे बेटा सबसे पहले आपके पास अपना घर होना चाहिए। इनफैक्ट स्टार्टअप एंटरप्रेन्योर्स के साथ सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम ये होती है, आजकल लोगों की शादियां नहीं होती है, घर नहीं होता आपके पास, तो अपना खुद का एटलीस्ट 1 BHK तो लेके रखना चाहिए। But the trends are changing with millennial generations because this generation believes more in experience rather than buying tangible assets. Or am I joking? I have no idea. Anirudh Bose, the prodigy of Subhash Chandra Bose, will tell us a few things about real estate market. Hi Anirudh, कैसा लग रहा है?
बहुत बढ़िया लग रहा है यार, how are you?
अच्छा, पिछले 2 एपिसोड तुम्हारे साथ करके काफी अच्छा लगा। काफी लोग कमेंट कर रहे हैं, काफी लोग बहुत कुछ बोल रहे हैं।
अच्छा, that's great.
हाँ, तो मतलब तुम्हारी पॉपुलैरिटी बढ़ा रहे हैं हम, ठीक है ना? तो हमको PR फीस हम तक पहुंचनी चाहिए। I'm telling you.
बिल्कुल।
We should receive some stake in your company. How about 2%?
You have 100 crores.
हाँ?
You have 100 crores.
अरे यार, बात कर दी ना तुमने। छोटी बात मत किया करो मुझसे, मैंने कितनी बार कहा है। चलो लेट्स स्टार्ट यार। अनिरुद्ध, तो आज ना हम लोग बात करना चाहते हैं कि मतलब जो आज के मिलेनियल्स हैं, ठीक है, व्हाट शुड दे डू? शुड दे बाय अ हाउस? सपोज अ मिलेनियल हु इज लिविंग इन अ मेट्रो लाइक मुंबई, हैदराबाद, बैंगलोर, दिल्ली, गुड़गांव, for that matter, or maybe Ahmedabad, or maybe in a small town city like Fatehpur, Bindki, Unnao, या फिर आरा, कासगंज, त्रिवेंद्रम. What should they do? Should they buy a house in today's day and age? Or should they rent it out throughout their lives? What is your assessment?
I should start by telling you there is no one simple answer to this.
Of course.
So
I would have been offended अगर तुमने बोल दिया होता खरीद लो यार अभिनव.
So usually financial questions have very cut and dried answers, yes or no, black or white. But this question you asked me has got me really stumped because there is no single answer to this. I can only give you an opinion. And I can give you perspectives, but in the end, there are 100 different questions and 100 different answers, and every single person has to ask themselves these questions and then get their own answer for this particular question on whether to buy or not, and secondly, whether to buy or rent. So the two I like to approach a little differently. First of all, since you're talking about millennials, we have to understand that millennials, which means basically someone who attained adulthood around the turn of the millennium, so someone born in the 80s or so, and started working maybe early 2000s, we've basically been through a lot of crap in life.
Oh yeah, tell me about it.
I mean, it's not been easy. लोग बहुत मजाक उड़ाते हैं millennials का, but just imagine having to start work 2 or 3 years before 2008, and then being faced with a 10-year recession, right? And then COVID. So we millennials haven't had it easy.
कोविड तो अभी आया यार, मुझे याद है 2008 का जब रिसेशन आया था और सबप्राइम क्राइसिस था यूएस में, दैट वाज ऑल प्रॉपर्टी रिलेटेड, राइट?
इट वाज ऑल प्रॉपर्टी रिलेटेड.
इट वाज ऑल हेवायर, लाइक पीपल हैड नो क्लू व्हाट टू डू विद प्रॉपर्टीज.
Absolutely.
I mean, and real estate investments had gone to a tizzy. I mean, we'll talk about real estate investment as well. But yeah, continue, please. मैं तो बकवास
real estate, see, real estate as an investment has traditionally been a very aspirational kind of an asset, and it has been seen as a safe haven. So, like you rightly said, mummy papa बोलते हैं पहले बेटा जाके property खरीदो. And rightfully so, because if you take the long term returns, I mean really long term, I mean 30, 40, 50 years, say, most real estate properties, unless they've been really bad or really badly thought out, have given you around 10 to 12% annualized growth, which may seem like less, but if you compound that kind of growth over a 10, 15, 20 year period, that is really, really good. So, barring the last 8-9 years, we all know that real estate hasn't done very well, right? In fact, between 2003 and about 10 or bits of 11, people were doubling money in real estate. The kind of bonanza that took place, the kind of party that was happening on a daily basis, I really doubt if we'll see such a situation ever again in our natural lifetimes. That was an anomaly. I know people who took out a loan and put in money in pre-booking, and then even before the property, the booking date came, they flipped out at a double or triple profit. So unfortunately,
एक ह्यूमन लाइफ स्टोरी में एक ट्रेंड आता है ना, लाइक युval नोआ हरारी की किताब है होमो सेपियंस. I mean, I'm sure you've heard about. तो
I have.
he had also mentioned that human lifespan में एक ऐसा event आता है जो पूरी human psychology बदल देता है. COVID is one of those events. You know,
Correct.
it changes the way we think, it changes the way we buy, it changes the way we conduct our lives.
Absolutely.
So I think 2008 वाला जो crisis था, that was one of them.
Absolutely. So why I say this is we millennials, I mean, we probably got into the workforce sometime around 2005, 6 or 7, and we were plunged straight into this. So our first taste of real estate, as we saw it, was as a money doubler, which was not really the case before or has not been after. So for us, a lot of millennials got into real estate at that time with their early paychecks and realized, oh my God, this is a party that basically was coming to an end, and I got in very late. And then now real estate has now come into a zone across most parts of the country where it's just not grown over the last 8 or 10 years. So why I say this is, first of all, millennials need to understand real estate a little better as an investment. They need to get out of that crazy mania of when they saw it really double, triple. It's probably never going to happen again. Real estate is going to go into a natural rhythm. And if you see, it's inflation plus 3-4% is what real estate gives you.
Yes.
Then there was the demonetization shock. Now we all know real estate is a big sum for black money. It's an open, it's an open secret.
It's where people park money, black money.
And musical chairs hota rehta hai in real estate. So what happened with demonetization is there was a lot of black money sucked out of the system. That again dealt a body blow to a system that was already reeling from shock, because there was so much oversupply across most prime locations. And in any case, there was real estate is fairly simple to understand compared to equities, because it's just a supply-demand game.
Yeah.
Unlike equities, where you need to assess balance sheets and P&Ls and management and product and strategy and market, real estate is all about location, and that location leading to a certain supply or demand.
Right.
Now, what happened is there was an oversupply that started building up towards the end of this rally, which has still not cleared out.
And when was this oversupply? When did this oversupply start?
The oversupply started building up around 2009 or 10, and there is still a glut in many areas. We don't look at Ghaziabad. If you look at even areas of Gurgaon, kutte bhauk rahe wahan pe. Beautiful properties, no one to go in, and that's just the way it is. So we are now in a situation where now that over the last 3-4 years, there's been a lot of skepticism building in about real estate as an investment. And having said that, there is nothing wrong with real estate as an investment, because as a money-making instrument, it is and will probably remain over long cycles. And this is one thing which we need, all millennials or anyone need to wrap their heads around. Real estate isn't a 5 or 6 year game. It used to be in that magic period. Real estate is a 10, 15, 20 year kind of a game, because unlike equities, where a cycle lasts for 12, 18 months, real estate cycles last for anything from 8 to 10 years, which means 8 to 10 years of bearishness, bad sentiment, followed by 8 to 10 years of steady growth, which will basically help you beat inflation and create wealth from your assets. So nothing wrong with real estate as an investment per se. It is as an investment avenue going to remain a fairly good and solid part of a millennials portfolio. So personally, I don't have strong views for or against it. I will talk about some of the pros and cons of it, if I may.
Because you spoke about oversupply in Mumbai today, like we go to societies, okay? Almost 100% of the flats are vacant. They don't have any owners. Because 2 से 3 करोड़ रुपए का एक BHK होता है वहाँ पे बड़े-बड़ी lavish societies में. और 2 से 3 करोड़ रुपए एक मिडिल क्लास इनकम के लिए हमारे इंडिया में जो पर कैपिटा इनकम अगर आप देखो तो 3-3 करोड़ के घर मिडिल क्लास अफोर्ड नहीं कर सकता है. उनकी पूरी जिंदगी निकल जाएगी EMI देने में.
See how the maths works. Now let's take a 2 crore property in Mumbai, or let's say in Delhi. You need to pay 20% as an upfront amount. So no bank will finance 100% of your loan. That's 40 lakhs, right? 40 lakhs isn't a small sum. So 40 lakhs बनाते आधे लोगों का तेल निकल जाता है. It's not easy. Now you've taken that 40 lakhs and you've plowed it in, and your EMI starts on about 1.6 crores. On a 1.6 crores ballpark, even at today's EMI kind of rates, I would say the average EMI would be close to 1.5 lakhs a month.
A month, right? Exactly.
Now, so you've saved 40 lakhs. Now you're putting in 1.5 lakhs a month, and you're going to put it for the next 20 years. So it's a very long-term commitment. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's not something which you should rush into. So, and then times like COVID are going to come. This is not the last COVID.
Anirudh, let me get that straight. What you said was very important. Let me get that straight. So, आप 30-35 साल के हुए, फिर आपने घर लिया 2 करोड़ का, उसमें 1.6 आपका EMI जा रहा है, 40 लाख आपने दे दिए. For the next 20-year period, you are locked in. So from 35 to 55, आपकी एक कंसिस्टेंट 1.5 लाख रुपए की EMI जा रही है पर मंथ. तो अब आप बंद गए हो कि आपको 1.5 लाख रुपए अपने जेब से निकालने हैं हर महीने. So that means you need to have a consistent job, you need to have a consistent earning, or you need to have a business setting, something which gives you 1.5 lakhs at least a month.
Yes.
And that is one reason why people in India are not able to experiment with their careers. You know, because they are stuck with a consistent income supply which they need to give out as EMI.
Absolutely right. In fact, see, ultimately money does and will continue dictating our decisions in life, right? Ultimately, if you don't have money coming in, it's a survival thing. It's a survival instinct. So naturally, if you know that next month you have a 1.5 lakh EMI coming up for an asset, you will naturally be more risk averse in your life.
Exactly.
So yes, I would go as far as saying that your entrepreneurial spirit will never emerge until you are relatively debt free.
Yeah.
So if you're going to early on take such a huge loan and buy a property, I would argue to say that it would lead to very stunted kind of career decisions. So one should be very careful before taking such a huge commitment so early on. Definitely not something to be taken lightly. Because even for a decent earning person who's earning 3.5 lakhs a month, that's about half their monthly outflow.
Right.
So you're basically paying all that. Now here's the other interesting thing. In the first half of the loan tenure, around 70% of what you're paying is just interest.
Interest.
Only 30% is principal. So that's another thing you have to keep in mind. So it's a very leveraged kind of investment. Now this leverage can work for you. I'll tell you how. Let's say 2 crores ka aapne property liya. And the market picks up again. And your property starts growing at 10-12% per annum, which is highly likely. If it's been through a slump for 10 years, there's no reason why good pockets, and I mean good pockets, I'll come back to what constitutes a really bad property decision and what constitutes a good one after this. There's no reason why a good property will not start escalating at 10-12% a year. Now your 2 crores, the property worth 2 crores, in 10 years can easily become worth about 4.5-5 crores at that kind of a compounded growth rate.
Right.
So if you even sell it off at that point and retire the rest of your loan, you'll still have made a good 10-11% annualized return. So it all depends on when the engine will kickstart. So that's the gamble. On the other hand, if you're in a situation where, we don't know how COVID is going to impact consumption. शायद लोग पैसा खर्चेंगे ही नहीं. अगर ऐसा हो, then property prices may stay stuck for a little while. And if it stays stuck, you're basically paying interest, and your property isn't going up. So then you're basically paying out of your pocket for a dead asset. So that's the risk of taking such a huge loan and investing in an asset. That's the caution to be maintained.
So Anirudh, that brings me to the question, like we were discussing per capita income a few minutes ago. Now, even in a city like Mumbai or Hyderabad or Bangalore, there are a lot of properties which are vacant. They don't have owners. And the builders, they are not ready to, reduce the prices.
Yes.
The rate of inflation, the property prices are inflated in Bombay.
Absolutely.
Like the place which I am sitting at, okay, इस property की कीमत होगी करीब 2 से 2.5 करोड़. आराम से 2 BHK है, ये सी फेसिंग है, बहुत अच्छा है, ठीक है, बैठने में बड़ा अच्छा लगता है, ठीक है. अब मैं आपको बताऊं 2 से 2.5 करोड़ रुपए में मैं फतेहपुर में एक बंगला ले सकता हूँ.
Correct. बिल्कुल.
Now these kind of calculated decisions, अगर मैं बात करूँ, ठीक है, how should a person think? Should they buy a house at a premium place in a premium city, or they should invest in a relatively cheaper option in a smaller city?
For that, I use something called a rent to buy ratio.
Okay.
So it's a very simple metric.
Rent to buy ratio.
Rent to buy ratio. Anyone can calculate it. It's a back of the envelope thing. Bada aasan hai.
Okay.
You need to have a maths degree for that. Now, for this particular property, how much rent would you say would someone pay? This beautiful sea-facing bungalow where you're really chilling right now. What's the rent?
Firstly, course correction. It's not a bungalow. Mind your language. Don't insult me.
Sorry.
It's a 2 BHK.
It's a 2 BHK. 2 BHK.
मुझे इससे एक जोक याद आया कि वो कौन था, पापा सीजे करके एक स्टैंड अप कॉमेडियन है, ही वाज दिल्ली बॉम्बे के जो कंपैरिजन कर रहा है, दिल्ली बॉम्बे में जब भी कंपैरिजन होता है ना, रियल एस्टेट सबसे ऊपर आता है, ठीक है. तो ही वाज सेइंग कि वी हैव सर्वेंट क्वार्टर्स, यू हैव 2 BHKs. Like people in Delhi have a servant quarter where people call it a 2 BHK. What is a 2 BHK? So
sea facing तो है, हमारा तो garbage facing है यार.
अरे यार वो इसलिए क्योंकि तुम दिल्ली में रहते हो, लैंडलॉक्ड है, मतलब वो
नहीं, grass is always greener on the other side, bro.
Yeah, I mean, whatever.
आपको ओशन दिख रहा है, मैं अपने बाहर देखता हूँ तो कंस्ट्रक्शन दिखता है मुझे सारा दिन रात.
तो आ जाओ ना बॉम्बे, मैं तो कब से बोला रहा हूँ, तुम दिल्ली छोड़ ही नहीं रहे हो.
कोविड खत्म होने दो, फिर आऊंगा आपके सी फेसिंग BHK में. So coming back to the point, what is the rent that you would pay for this lovely flat?
So अभी rent is around 50,000, but that has come down. You know, if you were buying this property or renting this property, say in March or maybe February, इसका rent आराम से 60 था.
So now it's about 50K, you're saying, right?
Now it's about 50K. So even a back of the envelope calculation says on a 15-year kind of an EMI, if you were to buy this flat, your EMI would be roughly about 2 lakhs on a 2.5 crore property, somewhere in the range of that. So if you divide 50K, which is your rent, by about a couple of lakhs, which your EMI would be, that works out to 0.25. Right.
1/4.
Right. 1/4.
So this thumb rule here being, if your rent to buy ratio is anywhere below, let's say 0.25 or so, it really makes sense to rent.
Okay.
Now purely from a financial decision standpoint, whether I should rent the property or should I buy it, the property where I want to live and operate from, for you, a most sensible decision is to rent it versus paying a 2 lakh kind of an EMI. Many reasons. Probably the prices haven't broken down yet, probably a correction is due, but this thumb rule tends to work quite nicely. If you lock yourself into a 2.5 crore price, you may regret it after a while when the property prices break. So rent to buy ratio says you should rent this property. You go to another city, let's say Kolkata, Jaipur, or even Indore, these kind of cities, which are fairly good, well-established cities, but the property prices haven't gone up so much and the rental yields are a little better. There, your rent to buy ratio will be somewhere around 0.4 or 0.5. So the rent you're paying, which is about 50K, right? You'd have to pay on a property which is worth much less over there.
So there it makes more sense to buy a house.
Yes. There it makes sense to buy a house because price appreciation itna hua nahi hai. So there is potential for long-term appreciation, which is more in such cities. So it's a very nice, very simple thumb rule. And every time you're faced with this decision, should I rent or buy? Simply calculate the EMI on a 15-year loan and look at the rent as it stands today and divide one by the other and see whether that ratio is upwards of 0.4 means it's a buying decision should be made, it should be considered. Anything below 0.25 or so, it's a no-brainer. You should go out and rent because what you end up doing is buying a very, very expensive property which you could have just rented.
And why did you choose 15 years? Because that is the average tenure till which you pay your EMI.
This is how the thumb rule works. So most people take up 20-year loans. But from a calculation standpoint, this ratio is geared to work for a 15-year EMI calculation.
तो अगर आपका rent to buy ratio जो है वो 0.25 की रेंज में आता है, then it makes to rent it. If it is more than 0.4, it makes sense to buy.
Yes, and if it's between 2.5, 0.25 to 0.4, it's an ambivalent decision. It could be either or. Take an emotional decision. Do you really love that property? How do the intangibles matter to you? So we've only talked about the financials, Abhinav, but we can't ignore the intangible benefits of owning a property.
Exactly, I was coming to that. Because if you buy a property, Anirudh, and you have to pay consistent EMIs, that means you have tied yourself to this house for the next 15 years. Like rent में ये होता है, you can just vacate this house next month and move on somewhere else.
Yes.
You are not tied.
I wouldn't say tied, but yes, you raised a valid point because property is not very liquid.
Yes.
It's not very saleable.
So you've also attached a consistent period of your life with a certain asset. तो आपके अगले 15 साल उस जुगाड़ में लग जाएंगे कि आपको कैश अरेंज करना है. I mean, maybe.
Which is not something wrong, not something bad per se. Because like I said, property appreciates over lengthy cycles. So see, you have to understand every asset class. Property, the ideal holding period is between 10 and 15 years. So if you're locking yourself into a 10-15 year kind of an arrangement for a property, it kind of makes sense from an investment standpoint. Also, yeah, the intangible benefits of owning a property, the non-financial benefits, you can't ignore, right? I mean, see, we are as millennials, the first thing that comes to mind is we are ungrounded. We are an ungrounded bunch, right? The average, I look at my family and my father, for example, his average time he spent in every job was more than 10 years. And today I look at resumes and they look like Big Bazaar shopping lists. You know, this, oh, ये आपका resume. अच्छा, एक सेकंड यार, अच्छा, तो यू नो
एक साल में 5 नौकरियां बदली हैं।
एंड रीजन सबके पास होता है यार, यहाँ पानी खराब था, वहाँ कॉफी खराब था, वहाँ लड़कियां सुंदर नहीं थी, तो
अगर ये 3 रीजन के साथ लोग आते हैं ना तो मैं इनको निकाल देता हूँ, मैं इनको कभी हायर नहीं करता हूँ, ठीक है? पानी खराब था, कॉफी खराब था, तो जाके सिलिकॉन वैली में काम करो ना यार, यहाँ क्या काम कर रहे हो? हाँ,
so my point being that see, a property really grounds you, so it's a grounding decision. If you got the cash flow and if you identified a good property, and by good property I mean the biggest mistake you can make as a property investor is to buy a property for the sake of it. And I tell this to everyone who comes to me, some far-flung remote corner of Gurgaon ka bhi Gurgaon, because I'm getting a 1 BHK over there for 35 lakh rupees, you know, some unknown builder who's never got a track record, and I go and buy it just because, you know, I feel I need to buy a property. That's a very wrong decision, because many things could happen. One, that property could never appreciate. 2, that builder could just start defaulting like anything. He could run away with your money. 3, that Gurgaon could never become good, may never just become Gurgaon Part 2. And suddenly you're stuck with an asset where you've paid a loan and you've not got any returns or dividends. So what I tell people is evaluate. Wait for a little while and buy a more expensive property if you must. There is no hurry. Because like you said, it's a 15-year kind of a decision. The last thing you want is to be locked with a small, non-appreciating property which is going to give you a lot of pain. So look at a good builder, look at a good location, and use your common sense. Are offices coming up there? Is infrastructure developing there? Are there green shoots of growth?
Is there an upcoming metro
connectivity?
Station?
Absolutely. Might there be a metro connectivity? You know, highways connecting the place. Property is all about common sense investing. The second you move beyond that common sense and say, hey, I'm going to buy this just because मुझे 25 लाख का मिल रहा है, मेरे पास 25 लाख है, you're doomed. So I'd rather wait for 5 years and continue renting, especially in a place like Delhi or Bombay, where my rent to buy ratio is anyway 0.2 or 0.25. And I would continue renting and saving that money more aggressively till I can accumulate a large lump sum and I can afford the property of my dreams, which is a solid project by a solid builder, which I know will not give me pain, in a great location where I could imagine spending my 50s and above, happily. So don't rush into it, you know, because it's an expensive long-term proposition. And coming back to the point of the intangible benefits, there is a feeling of safety, of security. Right? Today, if you go and take a poll of most investors across India and you ask them what is the asset which you consider most safe, they'll all say real estate and gold. And this is a fact.
क्योंकि बाबा आदम के ज़माने के इन्वेस्टमेंट है ना ये तो.
See, it is a fact. When you have land or when you have a property, right? It is because it's visible.
Yeah, that's what they have been good assets since when?
Absolutely. They have been paying off. Because see, property can't be developed forever. There will always be scarcity. So I always tell people, don't go into the outskirts, because the outskirts will keep going out. There are a lot of kheti badi in India. वो आगे बढ़ते रहेंगे. You will buy a property in a place where you see limited new supply. You know, like I'll give you an example. I live in GK2 in South Delhi. There are 2 projects here by a builder who built really fancy apartments. And because there was not going to be any new supply in this area, and they owned this land from before, property prices haven't really come down. If anything, they've gone up. So you have to look at areas where there's not going to be oversupply. Don't rush in. So I guess what I'm trying to tell you is, buying a property for the sake of it is a very, very regrettable decision that you will make in your life. Never do that. Wait if you must. I know it's grounding and it's a great investment, and yes, in the long run, it will give you a roof over your head, blah, blah, blah. But don't do that in some far-flung area where you will just pay EMIs for nothing.
तो देवी और सज्जनों, कहने का तात्पर्य ये है कि बॉलीवुड का गाना देखा है मैंने एक सपना, फूलों के शहर में हो घर अपना, वो गाना सुन करके रियल एस्टेट इन्वेस्टमेंट ना करें, सोच समझ के इन्वेस्टमेंट करें. Analyze your capacity, analyze the features, analyze the resources. Make sure that the choice which you're making, you're aware of all the intricacies and tangible assets, or maybe even intangible assets associated with that choice. Be it time, be it money, be it the place. Am I right, Anirudh?
Absolutely right. Spot on, bro.
Am I not always right, Anirudh?
Sometimes.
I know you're competing with me, but good luck with that. So this was our talk and conversation around real estate. We'll see you soon on the next episode. Let us know in comment section, how did you feel? Did you learn something new? Or if there are any questions to me or to Anirudh, of course to Anirudh, why you will ask me, please write down in the comment sections and let us know how did you like the video. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.